The morning sun hadn't even broken through the blinds when I found myself caught in a storm I never saw coming. It started with a buzz, a vibration on the nightstand that echoed louder than any alarm. Carla, still half asleep, reached for my phone before I could even register the glow of the screen. Her silence was deafening, her hands trembling as she scrolled through the messages that I had hoped would remain buried in digital obscurity. Tom, what is this? The weight of her words hit me harder than the phone she threw at me across the breakfast table. The evidence of my betrayal laid bare between us, my affair with Sophia no longer a shadow lurking in the corners of our marriage. I messed up, I admitted, the truth tasting bitter on my tongue. But it was a mistake, Carla, please, you have to believe me. My plea for forgiveness was desperate, a man grasping at straws to salvage what remained of the trust we had built over the years. Carla's eyes, once warm with love, were now cold with hurt. End it, if there's any respect left, end it with her now, she demanded, her voice laced with the pain I had inflicted. I promised to cut ties with Sophia, a lie wrapped in the guise of penance. My deceit deepened as I turned to a burner phone, the flame of my affair hidden beneath the ashes of my promises. Suspicion shadowed Carla's every move. One evening, she followed me, her heart heavy with dread. The local bar, a place where secrets whispered in the dark, became the stage for my indiscretion. Through the lens of her camera, she captured the evidence of my continued betrayal, a moment frozen in time that would shatter the fragile peace of our marriage. Revenge, a bitter seed, took root in Carla's heart. Lucas, a coworker, became her weapon of choice, a mirror to my own failings. Her affair, a reflection of the pain I had caused, was her way of wielding the knife I had plunged into our marriage. But life, in its cruel irony, had a way of twisting the knife further. George, my father, fell ill, a shadow casting over our family. Carla, seeing the devastation that gripped me, suggested we bury our transgressions and unite in the face of adversity. Her words, a beacon in the darkness, offered a semblance of hope. Yet, even as she stood by my side, her heart wandered in the company of another. Guilt, a constant companion, knotted her, yet the lie of my fidelity to Sophia kept her tethered to Lucas. In the midst of my father's battle, our marriage became a battlefield of its own, a war fought in the shadows of lies and betrayal. The corridors of the hospital became my second home, the sterile smell mingling with the scent of despair that seemed to cling to my clothes no matter how often I washed them. George's condition had taken a nosedive, and every beep of the machines tethering him to this life became a countdown I wasn't ready to hear the end of. My world narrowed down to those hospital walls, each day blurring into the next with a relentless monotony that left me gasping for a breath of normalcy. It was during one of those endless nights, the kind where the silence speaks louder than words, that my phone lit up with a message that felt like a punch to the gut. Tom, we need to talk. It's about Carla and Lucas. My heart stopped for a beat, the ground shifting beneath me. The thought of Carla finding solace in someone else's arms while I was drowning in a sea of medical reports and hospital visits was a betrayal I hadn't seen coming. The confrontation was inevitable, a clash of hurt and accusations that left us both raw and exposed. How could you, Carla? With Lucas? My voice broke, the weight of my father's illness and her betrayal too heavy to bear. Carla's defense was swift, a mirror to my own guilt. And what about Sophia? Did you ever really end it with her, or was I just supposed to wait in the shadows forever? Her words stung, a reminder of the skeletons in my own closet. I ended it months ago, Carla, for my dad, for us. The truth, laid bare between us, did little to bridge the chasm that had opened up. The revelation that my affair had ended long before her own began was a cold comfort, a bitter pill that neither of us knew how to swallow. But the decision was hers to make, and it came down like a guillotine on the fragile thread holding us together. I can't do this anymore, Tom. I'm leaving. The finality in her voice left no room for negotiation, a door closing on what could have been. The move to Lucas's place was a band-aid on a wound too deep to heal, a temporary salve that quickly lost its potency. The thrill of the forbidden that had once drawn them together faded into the background, replaced by the stark reality of a relationship built on the ruins of another. Then came the call, the one I had been dreading but knew was inevitable. Tom, it's time, you need to come now. The final hours of my father's life were a blur, a series of moments that I would replay in my mind for years to come. His passing marked the end of an era, a loss that felt like a physical blow. Carla's attempt to bridge the gap, to offer condolences in the wake of my father's death, was a gesture that arrived too late. The flowers and letter, meant to be an olive branch, felt like a hollow echo of what we had lost. My refusal to acknowledge her efforts was my armor, a way to shield myself from the pain that her presence would undoubtedly bring. In the end, the silence between us spoke volumes, a testament to the love that had once bound us together but now lay in ruins at our feet. The realization of her mistakes and the guilt that came with them was a burden that Carla would carry alone, a reminder of the cost of betrayal and the price of forgiveness left unasked. The day I decided to put distance between my past and my future was like ripping off a band-aid that had been stuck too long on a wound that hadn't healed. Selling my father's house, the last tangible piece of him I had left, felt like I was erasing parts of my history, but the need to escape the ghosts that haunted its hallways was stronger. I packed my life into boxes, each item a memory, a piece of a puzzle I was trying to forget. Carla was one of those pieces, and as I sealed the boxes, I sealed away the remnants of our life together, leaving no forwarding address, no trace of where I was headed. The news of Carla's affair had spread through her workplace like wildfire, a blaze that consumed her reputation and left her isolated among the colleagues who once respected her. I heard about it through the grapevine, a bitter reminder of the fallout from choices made in moments of weakness. Lucas, the man who had been a catalyst for so much change, decided to end things with Carla. His confession, that he was never in it for the long haul, was a cruel twist to an already painful story. It left Carla reeling, a double blow to her heart and her pride. Not long after, Carla's job fell victim to downsizing. She suspected, and probably rightly so, that her personal life had spilled over into her professional one, tainting her reputation and making her a target for cuts. The loss of her job was more than just a financial hit, it was a blow to her identity, her independence. With her professional and personal life in shambles, Carla found herself at a crossroads, facing the magnitude of her downfall alone. Friends who once filled her life with laughter and comfort had distanced themselves, wary of the drama that seemed to follow her. In desperation, she reached out to mutual friends, hoping to mend bridges burned or at least catch a glimpse of the life I had moved on to. But the news that I was seeing someone new, that I had moved on without a backward glance, was a pill too bitter to swallow. It served as a stark reminder that life goes on, with or without her approval. Determined to leave her past behind, Carla made the bold decision to start anew in a different city. Yet, the shadow of her mistakes followed her, a specter that haunted her attempts to build new relationships. The weight of her past was a constant companion, a reminder of the consequences of choices made in moments of passion and pain. In this new chapter of her life, Carla faced the daunting task of rebuilding from the ground up. The journey was marked by small victories and significant setbacks, each step forward a testament to her resilience. But the ghosts of her past lingered, a reminder that some scars are too deep to heal completely, and the road to redemption is a long one, paved with lessons learned the hard way. In the whirlwind of starting over, it's the unexpected moments that knock the wind out of you. The day the invitation arrived, nestled among bills and flyers, it felt like a chance. A high school reunion, a dive back into a world before mistakes and heartbreaks defined me. Maybe this is it, I thought, a fresh start with faces from a past life, untainted by the mess I'd made. But stepping into that reunion was like walking into a time capsule, one where whispers and glances cut deeper than I remembered. The air was thick with nostalgia and judgment, a mix that settled heavy on my shoulders. I spotted an old friend, someone I thought would be a link to better days, but the reunion was short-lived. "Carla, how could you? We all knew Tom, to thank you." Her words trailed off, but the disappointment was loud and clear. The sting of her judgment was a slap I hadn't anticipated, a reminder that some stains don't wash out with time or distance. The weight of their stares was a burden too heavy to bear, and I found myself retreating early, the taste of defeat bitter on my tongue. It was clear. My past was a shadow I couldn't outrun, a ghost haunting every attempt at redemption. Finding solace in the routine of a new job, I donned an apron at a local diner. The sizzle of the grill and the chatter of customers became my new normal, a world away from corporate life and whispered rumors. It was honest work, a step toward something resembling stability, a piece of a puzzle I was still putting together. Therapy sessions became my refuge, a space to unravel the tangled mess of guilt and regret. Each session was a step on a path to forgiveness, a journey inward to mend the fragments of a life I'd shattered. It was here, in the quiet reflection of a therapist's office, that I began to see the outlines of a future I might one day deserve. Volunteering at a local charity offered a glimpse of redemption, a chance to give rather than take, to heal rather than hurt. With every box packed and every hand extended in help, I found pieces of myself I thought were lost. It was in the giving that I found a purpose, a salve for the wounds that had defined me. The road to reconnecting with my family was paved with hesitation and hope. Their initial wariness was a barrier, but beneath it lay the possibility of acceptance, of love untethered by judgment. Each tentative step towards reconciliation was a dance, a delicate balance between the past we shared and the future we hoped to build. Life has a funny way of throwing you curveballs when you least expect it. The day I decided to walk into the local animal shelter was one of those days. I wasn't looking for a pet. I was searching for something else, maybe a sense of purpose or a flicker of joy in a life that had seen too much darkness. That's when I met Buster, a scrappy little terrier with eyes that seemed to understand the turmoil inside me. Adopting him wasn't just about giving him a home, it was about giving myself a new lease on life, a companion in a world that felt increasingly lonely. The move into a small apartment marked another milestone. It was modest, nothing fancy, but it was mine. Standing in the empty living room, I could almost hear the echo of a fresh start, a chance to build something from the ground up. It was a celebration of independence, a toast to the hard-earned money that made it possible, and a silent vow to never lose sight of what mattered most. Dipping my toes back into the dating pool was like navigating a minefield blindfolded. Trust wasn't something that came easily anymore, and honesty about my past felt like a confession that could scare anyone away. Each attempt was a lesson in vulnerability, a reminder that moving forward sometimes meant taking 2 steps back. Then came the letter from Tom. His words, not quite forgiveness but a bridge to understanding, were a balm to wounds I thought would never heal. He acknowledged our shared mistakes, a gesture that felt like a closure I no longer thought possible. It was a wish for well-being that didn't erase the past but allowed me to look at it without flinching. The thought of reaching out to Sophia crossed my mind more than once. An apology, a clearing of the air, seemed like the right thing to do, but fear held me back. The potential of unraveling the progress I had made kept me from picking up the phone. Some doors, I realized, needed to remain closed. Hearing about Tom's engagement was a jolt, a mix of emotions that tangled inside me. Happiness for him, a genuine wish for his happiness, was tinged with a sadness for what once was. It was a final goodbye to a chapter that had long since ended, a step towards fully embracing the future. Enrolling in night classes was the last piece of the puzzle. It wasn't just about career advancement. It was about personal development, about proving to myself that it's never too late to change your path. Each class was a challenge, a testament to my resilience and a promise to never stop growing. Through each of these steps, I found pieces of myself I thought were lost forever. It was a journey of rediscovery, of learning that life goes on, and so do we. With Buster by my side, a new home, and a future that felt full of possibilities, I realized that starting over wasn't just possible, it was necessary. And as I closed the book on one chapter, I was ready to begin another, armed with lessons learned and a heart open to whatever came next. The moment I stepped into the community center, a rush of nerves hit me like a wave. Here I was, about to lay my life bare, not as a tale of triumph but as a warning. The room was filled with young women, each at the crossroads of their own stories, looking to me for guidance. Sharing my story, the raw, unvarnished truth of my missteps and their consequences, felt like standing on a precipice. But as I spoke, the weight of my past began to lift, each word a step toward healing not just for me, but hopefully for them as well. Progress, I found, was a spectrum. Some days, I felt strides ahead. Others, the shadow of my past loomed large, a haunting reminder of the hurt I had caused. It was a dance with my own reflections, a journey through the highs and lows of redemption. The letter to George's grave was perhaps the hardest thing I had ever written. My pen hovered over the paper for hours, struggling to find the words that could encapsulate the depth of my regret. I knew it was a gesture more for me than for him, a way to voice the apologies that had gone unspoken. It was an acknowledgement of pain, a whisper into the void where I hoped for forgiveness I knew I couldn't receive. Landing a new job in my field was a milestone, a tangible sign of moving forward. It felt like reclaiming a part of my identity that had been lost in the turmoil. Walking into the office on my first day, I carried not just my portfolio but the lessons of my past, determined to rebuild my professional life on a foundation of integrity and hard work. But the past has a way of catching up. A post on social media dragged my name through the mud once again, a stark reminder that the internet never forgets. The backlash was immediate, a torrent of judgment from faceless strangers who knew only one side of the story. The temptation to hide was overwhelming, but I chose to stand my ground. My response was public, a difficult but necessary step. I acknowledged my past without excuses, sharing the efforts I had made towards change. The reactions were mixed, a mosaic of support and skepticism, but speaking my truth was a liberation, a step out of the shadows. The blog became my platform, a space to share the journey of a woman flawed but fighting for redemption. It was my hope that by laying bare my path to redemption, I could light the way for others lost in their own darkness. Each post was a testament to the power of change, an invitation to believe in second chances. In these actions, mentoring, seeking forgiveness, reclaiming my professional life, confronting my reputation, and sharing my story, I found not just redemption but a purpose. It was a journey marked by the realization that while we cannot change our past, we can shape our future. Through the lens of my experiences, I hope to offer a beacon of hope to those navigating the tumultuous waters of their own mistakes, showing that even in our darkest moments, there is a path to light. The day my blog hit 100 followers felt like a milestone. It wasn't just the numbers, it was the realization that my story, my journey from the depths of betrayal to the tentative steps toward redemption, resonated with others. Reading messages from strangers who found solace in my words, who saw their own struggles mirrored in mine, filled me with a sense of purpose I hadn't felt in years. Your honesty is a breath of fresh air. One message read, a simple sentence that fueled my resolve to keep sharing, keep being vulnerable. The decision to finally visit the place Tom and I had dreamed of felt like turning the last page of a long and tumultuous chapter. I booked the ticket on a whim, a solo journey to a destination that once symbolized our future. As the plane took off, I felt a mix of excitement and apprehension, a cocktail of emotions that had become all too familiar. The trip was a balm for my soul. Standing alone amidst landscapes we had once planned to explore together, I found a peace I hadn't realized I was searching for. It was there, in the quiet moments of reflection, that I felt the final threads of my old life loosen, making room for the new me to emerge fully. Returning home, the sense of rejuvenation was palpable. The trip had been a crucible, burning away the remnants of what was, leaving me clearer about who I was and the path I was on. The confidence that came with that clarity was a new feeling, one I embraced wholeheartedly. Then, during a casual conversation at my new job, someone mentioned Tom's recent wedding. The news was like a cold splash of water, jolting me out of my newfound equilibrium. For a moment, the old wounds ached, a sharp reminder of the past I had worked so hard to move beyond. But the pain passed more quickly than I expected. I had grown, evolved beyond the person who was shattered by such news. My journey, with all its ups and downs, had fortified me, taught me to focus on the growth and the positive changes that now defined my life. Starting a new relationship was a step filled with trepidation, but this time, I approached it with an openness I had never had before. Honesty about my past, about the mistakes that had shaped me, became the foundation on which we built our connection. It was a testament to how far I had come, a relationship rooted in transparency and mutual respect. Sitting in my apartment, a photo of Tom and me in happier times caught my eye. For the longest time, that photo had been a source of pain, a reminder of all that was lost. But now, as I looked at it, I felt a sense of calm. I had come to terms with the consequences of my actions, acknowledged the hurt I had caused, and recognized the effort I had put into changing my path. Letting go of the photo, letting go of the past, I finally forgave myself. It was a forgiveness born from understanding and acceptance, a realization that while I couldn't change what had happened, I had the power to shape what was yet to come. My journey wasn't defined by my mistakes but by my commitment to do better, to be better. And as I turned my gaze from the photo to the view outside my window,